Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Was There, starring Dave Munoz. Now this man has been to an unheard of, almost unimaginable amount of concerts with legendary music artists in rock and roll, and he's taken his cameras into some of the most exclusive, legendary, and unheard of places to capture photos like you've never seen. Dave, thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
And today we're talking about the tubes. So let's dive right into it. I guess my first question would be, because there's a lot to go over, but let's start simple. How would you describe the tubes in one word?
I don't think you can. But if I was to describe them, I would probably say Rocky Horror went rocky and rolly.
Okay. All right, that sounds about right. Some people think they're a cult band. Would you describe them as a cult band? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And their live shows are pretty interesting as well. If you've seen the book, I Was There, that's out, it's got a parental advisory warning on the front cover, and the tubes are the reason for that parental advisory cover on there. The tubes also appeared in an adult film movie as Jesus, Bongo, and the Millionaires. So they're definitely cut from a different cloth.
Yeah, I think that's putting it lightly. What was the reason for that? So what was so different about the tubes?
Well, they're the lead vocalist is a gentleman that plays actually a few different characters. He goes by the name of Fee Waybill. In fact, you can see here he's in one of his characters right now. But Fee Waybill, the primary character that Fee Waybill plays is a zoot-suited guy who's kind of snapping it together and everything for the first few songs. Then he sometimes dons a cowboy persona. But then his other characters, he has one character named Mondo Bondage. And Mondo Bondage is exactly what it sounds like, with the leather hat and everything else too. And he comes out riding on a motorcycle with a hot chick on the back, proceeds to get off. And as he's singing the songs too, him and the hot chick are giving each other physicals on stage.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's unbelievable. And Mondo Bondage ends up in this leather G-string with like, I'm not sure what all over it as well, but. And then he also has been known to with Quaalude, who this character is. You can see the big Q there, and he has glasses. Well, you'll see some pictures we'll be putting up too with glasses that say Quay on them. Wow. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Quaaludes, he also comes out and has different people dressed as Quaaludes with a Roar 714 across the chest. So the shows are wild. They're absolutely bizarre. But Quaalude too is one of the characters he ends the show with, and usually walk out of there saying, that was different.
That's putting it lightly. It sounds like there's so much going on here. I think the next question, logically, that I would ask is, how did you end up at one of these concerts?
Well, it was funny. A friend of mine told me about the Tubes. He mentioned it a couple times too, and I said, hey, I got a couple tickets. The Tubes are playing in Winterland, and this was probably 1976-ish. And I said, they're playing in Winterland. I'm thinking about going, and he goes, go. And I could just see the little apprehension in his. He didn't want to tell me anything about the shows, and I said, "Is there something I should know?" And he goes, "Oh no, you'll figure it out." And I went to the show. They went through all the character changes, did different things, but this was at Winterland. They had the old like '60s go-go booths. They had one on each side of the stage, and it was interesting because as they progressed through their set list, it started out with two girls over here and two guys in this booth, and they're dancing, and they're dressed. But as the show progressed, the clothing started coming off until there was nothing on, and they had a girl and a guy over here and a girl and a guy over there. And it was funny because the Tubes music, it's great music. I mean, a couple of the drummers they had, in fact, they had two at one time. Ainsley Dunbar, who used to be with Journey, was with them, and also another guy named Prairie Prince. And they're just esteemed drummers. They're phenomenal. The musicians in the band, the music is fantastic, but the visual show that they put on is, I mean, it almost makes Alice Cooper look tame.
Do you feel like they needed all that? Like you said, the band's fantastic, so my question would be, was it more of a gimmick? Was this guy really out there? Like, how was he as in interviews and stuff? Like, what was the atmosphere around him as a person? Did he live the personas all the time, or was it just something he did on stage?
No, it was 100% stage, and I listened to several interviews. In fact, I was fortunate enough to have a couple of conversations with Fee in the past too. He's a very articulate, very passionate man, but it's like he just wanted to, music was so important to him. He also wanted to push push boundaries. And that's what he did too with some of the things too. And like I said, the parental advisory for the explicit content is because, you know, as you take a look at some of the pictures, if you look kind of closely, especially with the Quaalude, you may see something protruding out of his bottom. So not his bottom. I beg your pardon. Out of the whatever he was wearing at the time.
I see. Well, I mean, is it that far-fetched in a show like this? I don't know.
No, probably not.
So we talked about the environment. We talked about the concert. Of course, we're going to talk about the photos a little later in the show.
Yes.
But I guess my next question would be, what were some of their popular songs? What were they about? What was that?
They had 1 in a Million was You're 1 in a Million Girl. That was kind of a hit.
Yeah.
But they had songs called What Do You Want From Life on their first album, which was hysterical. As you listen to it, how they come up with the words, the final line of the song is the baby's arm holding an apple. You think, I don't hear that in rock and roll very much.
Yeah.
They had another song called White Punks on Dope, and WPOD, White Punks on Dope, and I actually, my girlfriend at the time too, had bought a Mercury Capri, and this is 1970, probably 78 or so, and she was looking to get a personalized plate because that was everything you wanted, and we weren't sure, we were both Tubes fans, and I came up with the WPOD space, are you? And that was her license plate for quite a few years.
Oh wow!
So very few people knew what it meant.
Okay, so you were a fan. You were a big fan.
I enjoyed them. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so different.
Yeah, I'd imagine. And some of the song titles that you mentioned, it seems like there's almost a philosophical edge to their music a little bit.
Yes.
It's almost as if the crazy, wild raunchiness of their concerts are kind of poking the bear a little bit, like pushing society in a philosophical way, not. Because the way you initially see it is, oh, these are just young kids acting out, trying to rage against society. But some of the titles you mentioned, do you think there was more to them?
I can, I would say my inclination would be to say yes, but I also think that the music, and I know this too, that the music was so important to them. But it's just like that shock factor was something that they went after. I mean, I saw them 10 years ago in Pittsburgh, and Fee Waybill was still wearing assless chaps. Of which I thought was just about as bold as you get, because the guy's probably 65 years old at the time. My wife wasn't crazy about the show because it was the first time she ever saw him. So it was kind of a wild, a little too over the top for her, but I loved it. And the buddy that was with me too, and his wife wasn't crazy, but my buddy had seen him before, so I guess it's an acquired taste, you could say, for the taste.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, so you said you just saw them about 10 years ago.
Yes.
So you've been a lifelong fan of these guys. How many concerts have you been to?
I've probably seen them about a dozen times, and I'd have to say that all but the last time were within about a 3-year period back in San Francisco, because they played. I'm from Hayward, California, and they played in Hayward at a few small venues as well too. Wow. So you go see them, and they rock and they roll, man. They're a great band.
I have another question for you. It's a little off the topic. It would be, it seems like you've seen many of these artists more than once.
Yes.
Do you feel like do you feel like that's something you need to do to get a full understanding of some of these artists, or do you feel like most of the shows, when you've seen them once, you've gotten all you need, you just want that experience again? Or do you feel like some artists you didn't really like the first 1 or 2 times? I mean, you've seen some of you guys 10, 20, 30 times.
There's got to be an interest on my part too. I mean, I have to enjoy their music, and if I enjoy their music, again, I combine that with the fact of just that energy of live music. And when it's something that I really enjoy and something that I want to see, kind of with the Tubes, it was kind of, okay, what else? What next? What can you do? And they never disappointed me.
Never. Okay, yeah. So, we got to talk about the photos, we got to talk about the shots. But before we do, I would ask you, what was most memorable about the first time that you saw them?
Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of that first time, which is it probably would have got my book not even sold. But the just their desire to shock people, but yet still it wasn't just a shock show. I mean, it was hard rock and roll. It was great rock and roll. So
there was more art to it as well. It wasn't just raging against society.
Very, very well choreographed craziness.
So with that being said, we got to talk about the shots.
Yes.
A lot of people have not seen them in concert, or
You know,
Don't want to see them for the photos you have.
What you'll see is clearly 3 different characters that he plays.
Okay.
And the first one, again, Fee Wayville. You know, sometimes they'll have a cowboy hat on and a bit of a cowboy outfit. He usually starts the show.
Hair there.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that's, again, that's just part of Quaalude. Because he comes out looking almost normal. And he's got a suit on when he first comes out too, you know, a nice pinstripe suit. And he's rocking, and you know, they'll play 3 or 4 songs, and all of a sudden, you know, the band will start jamming a little bit. He goes off stage, does his change, and he comes out on a motorcycle with a hot chick. And like I said, that's what they start doing the physical and start taking their clothes off, and it's pretty crazy. And then his third change usually is into this character here, Quaalude. So like I said, he's got the big glasses that say Quay, which is funny too. And then of course the guitar that's a little, you know, different, yeah, a little different than the way to play it. Yeah, so you'll see that transition into photographs as well.
Then the next question I gotta ask is, what was your favorite photo? Of all these photos and all these crazy situations and wild things, what was the best shot that you took?
As far as the tubes,
as far as the tubes, yeah.
Probably the one where he's in this outfit, not playing the guitar, but he's singing, and you know, everything's exposed. But it's so funny too, because you think, who on earth would do that at a rock concert? But answer that question.
I mean,
Quaalude.
Yeah, right. He certainly takes that closeness to the fans, that intimacy with the fans, to a whole new level, bearing it all, so to speak. Thank you for, you know, capturing those moments, and I think a lot of what they did is reiterated on even today in music. I think of like the Lady Gagas of the world, and you know, people who are known for kind of pushing that, and you see that in rock and roll here for sure.
Yeah, definitely one of the predecessors for, you know, let's see if I can really get your attention.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want to discount the fact that the music was fantastic. Yeah. It really was. They're outstanding artists, and just the way they worked together, the way they wrote, and everything was unbelievable.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a philosophical tinge to that too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So thank you, obviously, for just bringing in the stories. Of course, the stories are just as good, if not better, than the photos themselves. But certainly some incredible photos you were able to capture. So thanks so much for bringing that in.
You bet.
And guys, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and click the bell. You don't want to miss more Dave Munoz and this incredible show I Was There, where he's showing never before seen photos of legendary rock and roll stars. I'm Chris Grant Jr., Dave Munoz. We'll see you in the next one.